Story 1. I don't get my needs met because I'm single. Physical touch is my main love language, but I only enjoy being touched by certain people, immediate family, certain friends, etc. Anyone outside that circle is a no-go. Story 2. My significant other and I are both introverted. His love language is touch and mine is acts of service. We live together yet separately and eat dinner together every night. We hold hands, snuggle, and love on each other over a couple of shows. We then go our own ways to recharge. We found each other in midlife and we both have a good understanding of our needs. One thing we both agree on is to schedule intimate time. That way we can be super creative and have full energy during those times. It's not in a calendar. We just agree on a time or day. If one of us is low on energy and wants to postpone, the other never takes it personally. I hope all introverts find their special person who really understands how to be separate together. I just realized this is for asking men. I hope a woman's point of view supports the original poster's question. Story 3. You mean people are out there getting their closeness needs met? Haha. If others are like me, they have managed to obtain happiness and be stable despite certain love languages typically being unaddressed. Story 4. My girlfriend and I have different sleep schedules. I usually cuddle while she falls asleep and then stay up for another few hours to get some alone time. She then usually wakes up a few hours before me and gets some alone time. We spend most of our time outside of that together when we're not busy with work. It's a nice balance where we can both fulfill our desire for physical and emotional closeness while still getting alone time. Story 5. Speaking for the single introverts with a physical touch love language, it is difficult. Adding additional rounds of masturbation has been a temporary solution but not a cure during lockdown. It has forced me to shift some perspective and try to open up more emotionally to others, but that's not really how it works for me. So, there is a lot of self-relief for the time being. Story 6. The people I enjoy being physically close to tend to also be people I am okay with being around when I don't want to be around people, if that makes sense. If I really want to be alone, then probably a hug and then run away to solitude. Story 7. I am an introvert and I dated an extrovert who enjoyed meeting with friends from Thursday to Sunday and going out for a drink. We lived apart because I didn't like that people always came to his house at any time, and he went out with friends whenever he wanted. I accompanied him twice a month. When we ended the relationship, we were friends with benefits, and for me, it was the best. I would see him every 2 or 3 days if I wanted. We had good sex, and we could cuddle without him thinking that I was dying to get married and have his babies. When I was alone, I could read, go to the movies, and have as much silence as I wanted. He moved to another country 1 year ago, but in quarantine, I missed the proximity and the physicality a lot. Story 8. We have rituals that help me get my physical affection. A good quality hug and kiss before he leaves in the morning, and the same when he gets home, love taps on the booty when walking by, etc. Also, really consistent sex every 4 days at maximum. We get space by having different couches and televisions, different hobbies that are our own. Story 9. I think it's less about someone being an introvert and more about having a connection where they can express their love language. As an extrovert, with touch being one of my love languages, I feel that it's never fully met. My friends aren't very physical and I'm single, so it kind of sucks a lot. Story 10. I, female, and my partner live together, and both our love languages are touch, followed closely by acts of service. He has always been introverted, spending his time gaming and chatting with friends online, whereas I am slightly more extroverted. He spends his time in our office, and I spend most of mine in the lounge on our personal computers. We play games together, and every time he puts the kettle on for tea, he'll poke his head around for a kiss and vice versa. We also make time for cuddles during the day. We'll often take 5 minutes out to snuggle, especially with the current situation and us both working from home. At night, we have a routine where he reads to me before bed, currently on book 6 of Harry Potter, and we cuddle. It really is about clear communication, and I know if he is feeling mopey, he needs a little extra space, and that's not an issue. Story 11. I bought a sheepskin rug that is big enough to mostly cover my bed. I roll around on it and enjoy the sensation. It doesn't fully meet my need for closeness, but it sure feels good. Story 12. I I suck it up because that's the only choice I have, considering I'm not lowering my standards for a partner just so I don't have to be alone. That's because I don't do hookups. Edit. I should have said I'm a guy from the beginning. It would have been interesting to see people's reactions to a guy that doesn't do hookups. Story 13. My brother and sister both have dogs. I hug them when I see them. My other sister has 3 cats. They lie on me or are within petting distance when I visit. That's how I'm getting my touch needs met for the moment. Story 14. I used to think my love language was touch, since whenever someone touched me it felt amazing, like warmth through my body. Then, I realized that nobody ever did anything for me, and when someone genuinely helps me with something, it forms a bond that touching doesn't. Story 15. Being introverted is more about the level of energy it takes to converse with other people. It's like a scale from stranger to soulmate, although I'd say an acquaintance takes more energy than a stranger. The better you click with someone and know them really well, the less effort it takes. A lot of the stress of socializing comes from the inherent obligation. Never knowing when to start a conversation, when to end it, how long I need to stay, if I'm talking too much or too little, not knowing what expectations they have, and so on. When I know someone internally approves of me and understands how I socialize, it all comes a lot more naturally and, therefore, is far less draining. Story 16. My girlfriend is extroverted, but we have the same love language, so we never really have to talk or think about how to get that need met. We just naturally do what feels right to each other when we're together. We sometimes joke that our bodies knew we were in love from the moment we met, and our dating period was just our brains catching up to that fact. Talking about love languages and the language of physical touch on a dating site was how we met, actually. I could tell within 3 sentences that she was someone who gets it. As for alone time, she's much more social than I am, but she doesn't require or need me to participate in any of it, so I get plenty of space. She doesn't really trigger my need for being alone anyway. I need breaks from other people, but not so much her. I've been in a relationship in the past where I was always made to feel needy and weird for wanting more physical affection than my partner, and it was absolutely horrible. Afterwards, I made a decision to never compromise on this again. Story 17. Speaking for myself and a few people I've discussed it with, it's not unusual to reach a point where, as an introvert, you have more of a blind spot for people you are very close to emotionally and comfortable with. They kind of become a +1 for alone. In my case, at least, you still need some absolute solitude, but over time the need for that shifts smaller and more of the less social time can be time actually spent with those ultra-comfortable close friends and loved ones. Furthermore, I want to point out something that happened to me and I think would be fairly common if more people experienced it. When I grew up, I was in a family with 5 kids and 2 parents. My life was an introvert's hell. My experience had always been feeling like I needed more time to myself, and from that I got the idea that I wished I could be alone all the time and that would be my ideal. But then, once I turned 18 and moved out into an apartment alone, it quickly became much too much. Suddenly I realized there needed to be some happy middle ground, and now I had all the alone time I wanted and actually yearned for togetherness again, at least on some level. I remember vividly I did almost have a pseudo-breakdown, and I don't use that term lightly. I had some real ones later on and know what I'm talking about, that I struggled to do my dishes, and a big part of the depression surrounding it was realizing that literally nobody in the universe would ever even know if I did the dishes or care they got done. I used to go to my dad's house, they'd split up by then, where I also used to live, and even though he worked 3rd shift and was never home or awake when I was there, it still felt better to me just existing in a space where someone else sometimes was, and my presence would make some noticeable difference to another person. I would go there to sleep some nights to ward off the depression. But yeah, this also taught me being introverted is almost never going to be a complete actual desire for isolation. I doubt there's a human out there who would truly thrive with that. So now I know to prioritize socialization, and it's been a long time since I had to deliberately carve out more alone time to feel balanced as a person. Story 18. I've never had my closeness needs met. It's kind of cool, though, because it's hard to miss something you have never experienced, so I don't even know what it feels like. Laughing my head off. Story 19. I've been single for a while, and the pandemic hasn't helped. I went to get fitted for a tuxedo, and the woman doing my measurements just barely grazes me as she does her job, and I get goosebumps. It's getting ridiculous. Story 20. I live with my current partner in a 1-bedroom apartment. We are both introverts with physical touch as a primary love language. It doesn't switch on and off very fast. When I start to feel the change, I can predict what I am going to need. I have strategies in place so I get my needs met without inconveniencing my partner too much. The biggest strategy is communication. I try to let them know how I'm feeling as much as possible. Although occasionally it is fun to be spontaneous. Sometimes I want snuggles. Sometimes I just want to sit in the same room with them and do my own thing. When I really need to isolate, I go for a walk, use the bathroom, or listen to music with headphones. If our needs are out of sync for a moment, we compromise where we can. But physical affection is never expected or required. As for sex, we only have it when we both want it. Story 21. My wife understands my need for both touch and solitude. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. Sometimes I need to touch and be touched, and other times I need some peace and quiet with a book. Perhaps it goes without saying, but not all physical touch is sexual in nature. I hug my kids all the time or just pat them on the head or shoulder as I walk by. I pet my dogs and give them snuggles on the couch. Or just sitting next to my wife to watch television. I'll rub her legs or feet. Story 22. You have to find someone who is comfortable with just being in your presence without saying much. I have found that if I am with a quiet woman or a woman who values silence when nothing needs to be said, but is also down for some cuddles or footsies, it's the best. Story 23. Being an introvert does not mean you need to be alone so much that it interferes with your love life. This is similar to asking an extrovert how they balance their need to be surrounded by other people with their need to use the restroom. Story 24. People are introverted in different ways. For me, it's not people I find draining. It's people I don't know or am not close with. I actually love being around people, just in small groups. Story 25. Well, for me, I'm ambiverted, so I'm half introvert, half extrovert, so I really just present myself as a touchy person, but of course in a friendly way. I'm known by friends to be really nice and supportive, so I give them pats on the back or handshakes, and so whenever it's a hug, it just happens, and sometimes they give me hugs. Yes, don't be a creep about it. If you want cuddles and such, just be a good person and find someone for you who will give you cuddles and with whom you will probably live out your life. Story 26. Here is the real challenge. When we are having a fight or disagreement, I need physical touch to feel a sense of safety. But that is not intuitive to my significant other, so I have to ask for it. Story 27. My partner and I see each other 2 to 3 times a week to be close. Otherwise, I'm not engaging with them. We both like our privacy and enjoy each other physically and emotionally, just not forever. Our private lives are both fulfilling, and I'm introverted most of my daily life. I am exhausted by other people. I feel like an alien a lot, and I enjoy observing the world alone. We grow apart, but in a good way. We both are allowed to be autonomous and enjoy the world individually. I'm not good at cohabitation, so we have kept it like this for the majority of our relationship. We have struck a delicate balance that works for us. It won't work for everyone, but I enjoy it. Story 28. Being somewhat introverted means exposure to the world at large, outside my little safety nest, is what is exhausting. My wife is part of why my safety nest is safe. She recharges me. I don't need to be alone. I just need time where I'm not on. When you're out in the world, you must be on, and it's very draining. Story 29. I don't believe in love language, and I don't have any closeness needs. It's nice, sure, but I can and regularly do go literal months without a hug. I stopped giving a long time ago. Story 30. I don't mind spending time with people, especially my partner. It's actively participating in conversations with more than 1 or 2 people that really drains my batteries. My favorite thing to do is lie in my partner's lap and get my head or back rubbed. Story 31. I have a question that goes along with this. If your love language is physical touch, do you feel like you're not being loved if you're doing the touching as opposed to the one being touched? For example, if I hug my wife from behind and kiss her on the cheek, I get enjoyment out of expressing my love for her, but love-wise, it does nothing for me. If she were to do the same to me, however, it would make me feel extremely loved by her. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Story 32. Single introvert whose love language is physical touch. Haven't cuddled with someone for about 6 years, and it sucks. The thing for me is that if I'm comfortable enough to be physical with someone, I'm so comfortable around that person that it doesn't really drain any energy being around them. Being alone with that person is also alone time, just a different kind of alone time. Maybe more like there is alone time and there is me time,